Hello everybody and welcome to Asgard, and today I'm actually doing yet another video. I've actually have two videos, one of which is about to go live on the main channel, and I wanted to record this one because this is a little bit of breaking news right here, and it has me very frustrated. So apparently AMC Theaters, which originally had made clear that they would not be forcing any guests to wear masks, but obviously encouraging them to do so, giving it to them as an option, and requiring all of their employees, mind you, to also wear masks, and also implementing social distancing, not only at the concession stands, but in the theaters too. So basically doing everything that they would have been asked to do, except forcing people to wear masks because of the Twitter mob, because of the mindset that we live in now in 2020, where just a few angry individuals that try and destroy everything get their way. AMC Theaters has changed course and will now require all customers to wear face masks. Now, obviously, I am very much against this. I understand the mindset behind it logically. Obviously, you're putting a bunch of people into a theater, you're putting a bunch of people into a closed space with circulated air, and there's the mindset of potentially someone coughing or sneezing, etc. However, with social distancing, and also with many people, I would argue, probably choosing to wear a mask, I honestly don't see how it would potentially be an issue. And as long as the theaters are cleaning before screens, cleaning between, doing everything that they have to try and keep the space as clean as possible. If anyone were to get sick, as far as, again, financial reliability, it would not be their responsibility at all, I think, because they again, if it's proven that they could have done everything possible except forcing people to do something like wear a mask, then I think they would be in the clear. But obviously, they think that this is the best PR move. But I'm going to tell you right now, AMC, this is not. I make it no secret on my channels that I used to work for them for about 3 years. I'm a huge fan of AMC. I think this is one of the worst decisions that AMC Theaters has made, because in this decision, they've also not really changed any of the other things they plan on doing, which would include opening up the concession stand. Now, here's the major issue. You can enforce, right? And this is not what they're saying. You can enforce if you walk into the building, if you're walking around the lobby, if you're out of your seat, then we are asking you to wear a mask. That, at the very least, I would say, you know what, that makes a little bit of sense. I may not agree with it, but at least that makes sense. But the fact that we're now at the point where they are essentially, based on this, again, they haven't gone into too much detail about it, they have essentially said, no, you have to wear a mask as long as you're at the theater, is problematic for a lot of different reasons. For one, anyone who wears a mask, anyone that's been wearing a mask since quarantine started, knows if you wear glasses or any type of face covering whatsoever, you know that wearing a mask for a long extended period of time not only is extremely uncomfortable, let alone for sitting for a 2-hour movie watching, but also sometimes it can be very hard to breathe, depending on the type of mask and type of covering that you have, depending on your own health. And also, too, for people with glasses, there's been a lot of complaints about how it oftentimes causes glasses to fog up as well. That's not a way to enjoy a movie, so guess what? There's a lot of people now that, because they've reversed course, are going to say, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to stay at home. I'm just going to stay at home and enjoy my home media on my screen. I'm just going to go ahead and rent and buy brand new films because now I can. I'll just go ahead and go to my HBO Max, my Netflix, my Disney Plus, the streaming wars. I'll go ahead and give my business to them instead. That is one thing you're doing. The bigger thing, if we're going to talk about business, if we're going to talk about the financial impact that this is going to have on AMC as a company, is the fact that if they are going to do this, if they are going to try and enforce this face mask policy, that means that they have to have employees, extra employees all around the building enforcing this. Imagine you just standing around waiting for your movie to start, being told by someone who's in high school, hey, I'm sorry, you have to put your mask back on or you have to leave. And imagine also you're that person that gets escorted out of the theater by security or whoever because you just didn't want to wear a mask because of a wide myriad of reasons. That means also you'll have to have someone in every single screen, in every single theater, during the entirety of a showtime, making sure everyone's masks stay on. And similar to, obviously, some people might like this, it would be cool to have that for, making sure that cell phones aren't being used. If the main reason why an employee would be inside of a screen is to make sure your mask stays on, that can be very problematic. The biggest reason why that can be problematic is because, based from this reporting, they still plan to sell concessions, and it makes sense. To anyone out there that's trying to say, well, they have to. Masks are so important. Masks are necessary. I don't want to die. Here's the thing. If you're that concerned about it, if you're that worried about it, keep in mind that masks don't just automatically protect you from anything that you could possibly get. Just because you go and you wear a mask does not mean that, you're going to be completely healthy. You have a 100% chance of staying healthy. Now, does it increase the chance of you not spreading it or catching it? Sure. But it does not make it a all-round guarantee. All right? So if you're one of those persons, that's the one thing. And secondly, right? So again, don't go. If you're that concerned about it, then just don't go. Wait for things to pass, wait for things to get better. Boom, then you'll be fine. It's very easy. You don't have to go. But the other thing, too, getting into the financials of this, is that you do realize that AMC Theaters, Cinemark, Regal, all the theaters make no money off of ticket sales. Opening weekend alone, do you know what the split on a ticket is between the studio and the movie theater? AMC, if they charge you $10 for a movie ticket, opening weekend for a brand new film, they get $1 of that $10 you spent. The other $9 goes to the studio for the first 2 weeks. After the first 2 weeks, the numbers start to change a little bit. And still, you have about a 50-50 split, 30-70 split. They're still not getting. Theaters at no point get 100% of those tickets, which means they only make money, they only stay solvent, they only get profit if they're allowed to sell concessions, which is why their concessions cost so much damn money, by the way. It's not because, we're going to charge it because it's worth this much. Obviously, it's not. Or, we're going to charge it this much because we want to make massive profits. Though, of course, I would argue in more recent times, it was going in that direction, that they were overcharging by even more so making vast profits, right? They didn't need to charge that much, but they did it anyway because they could get away with it because people were willing to pay for it. I'll give you that much. But right now, in the current circumstance where these theaters have been closed for 3 months now, have not been making any money, have not been growing at all, in many cases have been losing money, they are now being pressured not just to reopen with restrictions, saying, you can only have 25% capacity, 50% capacity. Now also, every single guest that comes in has to wear a mask, but we're still going to sell concessions. How in the hell can you enforce a face mask policy that it has to be on at all times when you're in the theater when you're also at the same time selling popcorn and soft drinks? Does that mean that as long as you're sipping out of a cup or putting popcorn in your mouth, that you're allowed to take your mask off? Do you really expect people just to keep it on, take it off, take it on, take it off, take it on every time they want to take a sip from their beverage? Now, here's what I think is going to happen. I think AMC Theaters is just making this a public statement that they are going to tell guests, hey, here's a mask if you need one. And then once they get inside the theater, I think at that point, they're just going to ignore it altogether. That's what I think is going to happen, because if they expect to sell any concession items, that's what they have to do. They cannot go into the theater and enforce the mask policy because, as I said, if you're taking sips and eating popcorn, it makes no sense to just take it off, take it on, take it off, take it on, right? Makes no sense whatsoever, on top of all those other things that I've added. So here is my message to AMC. This is a really bad decision that you've made. You should never, ever bow. You should never, ever bend the knee to crazy Twitter crowds, the hysteria that you find online. Never bend the knee, because it's actually a very, very small minority of people. And by bending the knee to them, all you do is give up any cards that you possibly have. And also it just makes you look like idiots. It does not make you look good. So that's the AMC. Bad move on your part. I hope that you change your minds once again, because guess what? This is now pushing more people to not go back to the theaters anymore. The people that were complaining about it on Twitter, they're the people that already were not going to be going back. Because as I said, if they care that much, if they're that concerned, don't go. It's very simple. We have free will. You don't have to go see a movie. You can choose to stay home. And guess what? If you want to wear a mask, great. You've now increased your chances of not getting anything. Not gotten rid of them altogether. And guess what? Even if every single person in the building is wearing a mask, not a 0% chance that you might get something. So that's my message to theaters. And to the message to the mob that's going after AMC, going after Cinemark, going after Regal, going after all these theaters, and all the theaters now changing their plans. Seriously, screw you. This is one of the few things that we've actually, for movie fans, for movie buffs, one of the few things that we've actually had to look forward to are the movie theaters reopening, of films like Tenet coming out finally to the big screen, of even classic films being played back on the big screen once again. One of my local theaters is playing Jurassic Park, is playing Back to the Future, some of my all-time favorites. And I cannot wait to go out and experience those, because I don't think my local theaters have gone into these implementations yet. But AMC Theaters, this is a terrible move. This is a bad financial move for you, and as I said, it's completely impractical if you plan to sell concessions. And guess what? To anyone out there saying, oh, well, temporarily they should suspend all food services, great. You know what that means? That means that every day those theaters stay open, they are losing money. You cannot run or sustain a business if you're constantly, every single day, even if it's only for 2 weeks, running in the red. Because either one of two things has to happen. Either one, when you are allowing yourself to sell food and beverages and things like that again, you are going to mark those prices up to an insane degree. Or two, you'll go out of business before that even happens. So anyway, my video is literally going live. So as this video goes live, the other video would have gone live, but I wanted to have a kind of a complimentary one because information I mentioned in that video is now outdated because of this breaking news here. But what are your thoughts about it? Do you think that AMC Theaters and Regal should have bent the knee in this way? To say, oh, no, all guests now, you have to wear a mask if you're going to come into our theater. That's one. And secondly, do you think they're actually going to be able to implement this in a functional way to be able to still somehow make money when they're already going to be limited in how many people they can fit inside a screen? I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comment section below. If you like this video, please smash that like button and please share this as well, because this is a message that I don't think a lot of people understand. I don't think a lot of people understand how the movie industry, how the movie theater business works. Again, they make no money on ticket sales. They make money on their concessions. They make money off of the things that they can sell. And yes, I agree. I think they sell it for way too much money, well beyond profitability levels. But when you're doing something like this, you're pushing people away and you're making it so that it's going to be impossible to be able to actually implement without suspending food services. And if that happens, if that's the next step in order for it to be feasible, goodbye movie theaters. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Benton, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And also to my Subscribe-Star members, Edgardo Martinez, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod, the Beer Guru, and also Nebanon G. Adams and ZK Man, and Jonathan Carney, and Jacob Juice. Thank you all so much for being a member of Patreon and Subscribe-Star. And seriously, it really does mean a lot. Helps keeps the light on, helps me able to do things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers on Patreon and Subscribe-Star, and also be able to put more stuff into the actual channel itself, including upgrading different components, whether it be webcams, microphones, things like that. All of that helps to support it, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you all so very much. Please, if you want to have your name shouted out or look at any of the other perks, which include things like indeed having access to exclusive 4K digital giveaways every single month, and also an exclusive podcast hosted on Patreon and Subscribe-Star, and also YouTube memberships as well at the $10 and up level, featuring John the Flick Pig Flickinger. Please check all of those things out in the description of this video. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.